Can you break down the economics back then of an album sale?
Album sale, you would get $10.
You get $10 if you're the label.
Yeah.
So the retailer probably gets whatever's on top of the $10.
They would charge how much? So
$14.99, $18.99,
so, yeah,
whatever it is, right?
Whatever it is.
So the label would take $10, and then that would get broken down.
Yeah, how artists,
the deal was
manufacturing, stuff like that.
Right. Damn. Today it's like...
So that was the crazy thing about the record. So before the CD came, you would sell that album for $4. CD comes, you sell it for $10. You're still spending the same amount of money on marketing. You're still spending the same amount of money on radio.
But it goes up. Your profitability.
So all of a sudden, there's $6 extra fucking dollars,
which changes everything.
So on a million records, I'm just saying to do easy math, right? On a platinum record before there was a CD, $4 million you make
off of a vinyl or a tape.
Yeah.
Okay, because those costed more to make.
Less. It was $4.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
On the CD, you do $1 million. That's $10 million. All of a sudden, there's an extra $6 million. So that's when everybody.
Do the deals change with that?
Also, now the deals start changing, and all the motherfuckers care about. If you take Teddy Riley's, not the back, what was the Blackstreet, right?
Yeah.
So No Diggity,
huge,
right?
Great album, by the way, that whole album.
But that one single really turned it into, I think, whatever it did, 1 million, 2 million records. Yeah. So everybody only gave a fuck about was that one hit wonder. Let's get some Teddy Riley records. Let's get some RZA records. Pharrell comes. Let's get some Pharrell records. And the executives, the A&R executives, got fucking lazy because they started getting so fucking rich because of the bonuses. Because all of a sudden you do 1 million records. If you do 2 million, $20 million.
So they were chasing. I mean, that kind of explains a lot because back then you would always see if there was a hot producer.
Next thing you know, the radio was like, all of a sudden the producer became the star.
Yeah, it was like everybody had to get a Kanye beat or a Pharrell beat or whatever. So
or a Swiss beat,
or an Akon hook,
yeah,
or whatever it was.
So, and they didn't work anymore to develop a writer or to develop a producer. Like everybody that I ever signed, and it wasn't intentionally, but they were all self-contained. RZA,
right,
self-contained. E Swift, self-contained. Joe and Pun, self-contained.
But you also did real artist development. Like you weren't signing. I mean, I don't know how many artists you signed at the top of their like. I
never signed an artist at the top of their career ever in my life.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Akon was like I didn't know who Akon was prior to.
No. You might have knew Banner was, but Banner wasn't having great success. But Banner was self-contained. Everybody was self-contained. So I'm just like, this is how I'm gonna go. I never considered myself an A&R guy. Like he'll tell you, I spoke to him every day. I was a promotion guy.
Tell me, like,
I'm sorry for keep on bringing you on, Brian.
This is Brian's. He's over there. This is the best day of his month right now. So, and his kid graduated this month.
Congratulations.
Was there ever any artist that you almost signed in the 90s that just
there was a few. There was M. There was J. BMG wouldn't let me sign J.
Why?
Because we were throwing so much weight up there, and what they wanted was a little bit different.
They were like, we've already done this. We've already seen this.
No, Jay. What Jay wanted.
What Jay wanted was different. Okay.
And Dame, and they were like, nah, like, and they didn't want a lot of money.
That's crazy.
They just wanted their independence.
Eminem too, huh? Yeah, because it's crazy. Because if you think about Eminem, he had like.
I guess there's a tape. That somebody sent when he went to visit Powell. I don't know who was interviewing him, and they said, "What label do you want to be?" And he said, "Loud."
I don't doubt that. At that time, of course. I mean, with what he was into.
And Paul interned for my partner, Rich Isaacs.
Did you guys have any sort of Loud Records and Raucous Records? Did you ever
we consulted Raucous Records. I never considered Raucous Records competition.
It wasn't even competition, but because you guys were much bigger. Like Raucous was very much like kind of the backpack label.
They were owned by Rupert Murdoch's son, James Murdoch. They hired us to consult them.
But that whole movement, Talib, Black Star, Mos Def, all that shit, was that ever anything where you were like, maybe we can kind of make this like go a little more mainstream, this sound? Should we start?
I never looked at them. I never looked at them that way. I knew James Murdoch was going to run Fox one.
That's pretty crazy that Rupert Murdoch's kid owned Ruckus, by the way. For people who don't know that, that's an insane little.
And what Ruckus did. But I never, you know, I never worried about. I didn't worry about Def Jam. I didn't worry about Bad Boy. I didn't worry about Death Row. Like I just did what I had. You know, if you're running a race, and if you look over your shoulder to see where your competition is, you get past or you could trip.
Yeah.
Like just focus on the finish line, man.
There's enough money for all of us.
That's all it was. I remember a Mobb Deep's second album. We didn't have a smash like Shook One. Right? Drop a Gem was supposed to be, but we pulled it. But we were coming the same day that Foxy was coming.
Mm.
And that was the only time I had a huge argument with my cousin, who was my GM at the time. And I was like, I need to know every fucking thing. And I'm not even saying it in a bad way.
No,
like,
right, of course, but yeah.
And he goes, what are you so worried about? I'm like,
we got to beat her.
It wasn't even her. I didn't like how Leor did things.
Mm.
And I knew he was good. Like, and we were so authentic and ethical. And
did you and Leor have a bit of a rivalry at that time?
We came out of nowhere and we smacked them. I mean, listen.
I don't even mean like, I just mean like from an executive to executive.
No, because I looked at it like when we came, we came. And at the end of the day, Wu-Tang or Method Man saved their ass.
And Warren G.
Right? And I had Gotti before they did.
Interesting.
I was going to sign Mike Geronimo.
Shout out to Mike Geronimo, man. That's.
And we couldn't get the sample clean. It just didn't work out. And he says, and Irv called. He goes, let me just bring it to Gottlieb.
Right.
You know, so like we were always with Def Jam one step ahead.
So crazy. Yeah, you always hear things about, obviously I met Leor once and I was like, I know your brother, Marty. What's up, bro? The tallest Jewish guy in the world. That's fucking nuts. Can you share a couple of just like, do you have a random MOP story you could share?
They were in Vegas for Magic.
Okay, the clothing convention.
Right, and I was in Vegas, and I had to show them what I was built out of. So my family owned the #1 Italian restaurant.
Okay.
In Vegas.
Which
it's called Piero's.
Okay.
It's the longest freestanding. And there was never no beef, but like I was always aware of like, and like their manager I truly loved, but like I had to show them that you come, I'm coming. But we never had a beef. I know they went at me at record one time, let us off the label. I was already gone from the label.
You had already sold it.
Yeah. But I'm closer to them today than I was.
It feels like each of them guys are like, obviously they're fucking older now.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to MOP, man. You also had a point in time where you were working with Mariah.
Yeah. Did I tell you? How do you know that?
I thought everybody knew that. Was that out there?
I tried to keep it quiet.
I always thought that was. I'd known that. I thought people knew that. That you were like helping her. You were managing her. Essentially.
I was like, whatever my title was, like a management role.
What era of?
I went to Sony in '99. I want to say 90.
That's peak. Holy shit. That's like 98. It's like, fucking Honey and
I think it was right after Honey. She did the record with Whitney off that movie.
Yeah.